Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? How's everybody doing this morning? What's up, Strafe? Good to see ya. What's up? I'm Yoon, Sando Wizard. Let me get my screen sharing started here. I think we've got everything up and running on the YouTube side of things, so that's the last thing I need to do. Screen, let's go live. All right, and let me get up. Sorry, there's one thing I've yet to do. Look at features here. Always a good place to kind of start, figure out where we're at, where we've been, what we're doing, what should we be thinking about. So, obviously Friday had quite the drawdown. I don't know if that had anything to do with OPEX. It was kind of an interesting move. Maybe things had pushed a little too high. Calls were getting a little too strong in the money or something like that. But yeah, kind of an interesting sell-off Friday that had continuation down. Brought us back down into this demand zone here, but that's held so far. So we've yet to invalidate that. Um, if it wasn't for this really weird, sort of almost scallopy looking pattern right here, um, I'd almost say it's starting to look like an inverse head and shoulders, but doesn't really give us a good neckline. I mean, if there is one, if there's potential for there to be an inverse head and shoulders, be a kind of a weird looking one if it holds, basically, if it stays valid. I mean, could be looking at something like that. Definitely a trend line I'd be keeping my eye on, though. Here on the hourly chart, mostly clean touches, one print just a little bit above there. So anyway, trying to hold demand, but things kind of continue to be pointing a little bit in a downward direction, especially after we broke this trend line that had us moving there to the upside. So, and this is an old one as well. It's already clearly been invalidated. So, I think we're probably ultimately looking at sideways movement, especially with rate decision tomorrow, as well as economic outlook. What was the other big thing tomorrow? Yeah, the FOMC economic projections and the Fed interest rate decision, both at 2 p.m. tomorrow. That will also include some interest rate projections. So that'll be interesting. And then there is a Fed press conference at 2:30 p.m. So expect to see fireworks tomorrow. I think, I've seen a couple of street analysts kind of suggest that we may see a rate hike tomorrow. I'd be personally surprised at that. I feel like the Fed's probably going to wait to see how what they've done so far plays out. I mean, it's going to have a little bit of a lagging effect on spending, inflation, things of that nature. So, I certainly would anticipate that they maybe have a sense that we're kind of teetering on the edge of pushing these interest rates too far, and it potentially creating some serious economic ripple effects. So I would anticipate that they've got that in the back of their mind, and they're going to be willing to at least hold rates steady tomorrow, and then hopefully if they say something about to the effect of we plan on holding rates for the foreseeable future, and then hope to be able to start drawing those down going into 2024, which is something they've said numerous times in the past. Although it's that you kind of have to adjust as the battle plays out with inflation. um, they're going to try to, I think, hold it steady and look to start to bring rates down sometime in 2024. I think if they say anything to that effect, market should react positively. I'd say anything shy of that, or anything that indicates that we may have to go higher, we're going to hold steady, but we may have to go higher. I think that sort of language probably shakes things up, maybe has us pulling back a little bit further. So that's just my guess. Nobody can predict these things, but that's sort of what I'm expecting, not only from a decision, but also a reaction standpoint. So, yeah. Good morning, Strife. What's up, Chris? Good morning. Good to see you, buddy. And like Chris said there in the chat, for those of you who are joining us this morning, if you guys have any ticker requests, start putting those here in the live stream chat area. Sure, we can take a look at what's RCL. Is that Royal Caribbean? RCL? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can take a look at that. Yeah, somebody was on talking about cruise lines in the chat recently. It was either maybe Alexander or Wags or somebody. So yeah, we can take a look at RCL. Cruise lines maybe coming back into favor. And, they, I'm reading a lot of articles about how, the where prices are going up and spending seems to just be increasing, and where people who are on limited funds are choosing to spend their money is more on experiences, vacations, things of that nature versus, material, possessions like cars and things of that nature. So, they could see some money rotating into that sector based on that. Really, God, I had Carnival back in the day. I forget. I think I got in around like 9 and got out around 11 or something, but I haven't even looked at it in a while. So maybe we can take a look at that one too, or take a look at the two of them. I don't know. Netflix, we can definitely take a look at that for you, Navy Plum. Good to hear from you, my friend. Always here, loyal listener. All right, so let's just take a quick look at the trade plans that I published for the group over the weekend. For those of you who aren't familiar with this process, I posted Google form Friday, as close to the close as I could. I had some stuff going on Friday afternoon, taking some staff out for happy hour and whatnot. So I had to wrap it up a little bit early on Friday and get the forum posted, but typically it'll be around market close Fridays. I'll post it in the options watch list. It's a Google form where you guys can essentially cast your votes. You get 3 votes. The ticker that has the 3 tickers that have the most votes by Sunday midday. I work up, what I think are pretty well thought out trade plans on them, and post them Sunday evening. So we have them going into Monday's trading and ready for the week ahead. NVIDIA was one of those on the from our member selected ticker. Sorry, this was a kind of a challenging one. Certainly, if you were kind of threading the needle and scalping it, you could have played it yesterday. But we clearly were breaking down pretty strongly, and we're opening very close to PT1. I mean, anytime we have that sort of a scenario play out, always proceed with caution, or at the very least wait for some kind of a back test and use that as a potential entry opportunity. This one, opened again kind of pretty close to PT1, shot down right around and just below the PT2 area, came back up. This is where I was saying, like, you could have potentially, if you were really kind of threading the needle and scalping this, you could have tried to catch this back test to PT1 move. Very clean rejection to a very clean bounce there. But me personally, I'm generally, especially on a Monday and things kind of opening up already past our entry point for puts and kind of looking like a little bit of a chase scenario. I mean, I'm at the very least waiting 15 minutes, before I'm touching anything personally. So anyway, this one was again, we hit price targets after we broke down below. I mean, so the analysis played out, but the manner in which it played out would have been very challenging to actually execute a trade on. So don't blame anybody if they didn't catch that 15-minute rejection back test to PT1 move, because that's kind of seems like the only realistic opportunity there was, and that would have been you should pat yourself on the back if you caught that. Long story short, because that would have been tough to play. AMD, kind of a similar scenario to NVIDIA. This was also on our member selected tickers over the weekend, opening up below our put entry target. Kind of an interesting opportunity here with the 100 SMA, sort of finding that as resistance kind of near our put entry level, but also sort of in the overall selling pressure area between our put entry and put stop loss levels. So, again, some interesting stuff there, but again, I don't think I would have been ready to kind of jump in on that, just because it's not really showing clean resistance where I would want it to there at that put entry level. Did ultimately break down, tap PT1, and has climbed its way back up, and as of this morning, kind of just cruising in our range. So keep this one on watch. We could see this play out again. Definitely a trade plan I would be willing to recycle, especially if it starts to play out to the upside, which is starting to look a little bit better with the price action sliding above these moving averages, and these moving averages trying to move back to the bullish side with the shorter length moving averages getting back over top of the longer ones. And Nvidia, as far as heading into today, similar scenario. So again, these trade plans are in the options watch list. Go check those out. You could see some more opportunities to utilize them. Tesla was our other one from over the weekend. This one kind of gave us a little bit of an opportunity. Again, I don't trade options on Tesla. I've got some share positions that track the price movement of Tesla, but are also paying healthy dividends on a monthly basis. Anyway, Tesla, closed below, pretty close to a back test there within the first 10 minutes, and then from there all the way down to PT2 plus, and now it looks like we're trying to hold this PT2 from our plan over the weekend as support. We keep bouncing off of it, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It looks to me like if it can break back over 267.93, we could see a little bit of a recovery. Maybe this is not my full Tesla chart, but take a look if there's I just pulled because it would be, I think, a little bit hard to follow or watch everything if I was showing the full chart with all this stuff on it. Makes sense to me, but if you're just trying to follow a trade plan, I think it's just a bit much. Yeah, we do have and actually that's looks like it's been invalidated to me. We did just lose, a demand zone here. So yeah, I'd say 266.93. It could certainly find its way back up to that. No, I'm sorry. I'm looking at 268.85 probably, but this high a day is actually kind of looking at yesterday's high a day. Long story short, if I go back to this chart here, I'd be looking at, seeing a lot of resistance there yesterday, right around that 268.48. So there could be, potential move over 266.93, at least to that point, and then possibly all the way back to the put entry level. And then this one we did on the live stream last week. This is the Uber trade plan. You guys asked for this during Thursday's live stream. The other one that we did on Thursday's live stream was Nvidia, but I kind of did another trade plan. That trade plan, if you go back and look, actually played out, I think, 440, what was it? 444.9, I think, was like our ultimate downside target. I think it was like 451.85, 445.25, and then I think this was maybe PT3 down here at 440.49, with an entry somewhere up here in the 460s or something like that. Again, we looked at it last Thursday, so I'm guessing it was probably somewhere up in this neighborhood. Anyway, that downside trade plan obviously played out quite well, and now Nvidia is back in the range. So that's another one we looked at Thursday, but we kind of redid it again over the weekend. I guess is one of the right way to say that. And so Uber gave us a really nice entry yesterday. In fact, let me flip this over to the 5-minute. So again, breakdown, back test, that put entry level as resistance, made itself all the way down to PT1. Sure enough, caught a bounce, tried to hold resistance there, but very nice back test to PT1 move for what, about 60, not a huge dollar move, 60 cents to the downside, but options probably paid out fairly decently. And now breaking down below that support it was trying to hold yesterday, heading toward PT2. So this one looks like it's going to continue down, maybe start to hit some of these lower price targets. So keep Uber on watch, and congrats if you followed the plan on that one. All right, so RCL, CCL, Netflix. Let's take a look at these guys. Whoops. Actually, it's RCL. What is CCL at? I'm just curious. Oh, wow. Dang, I should have held that a little longer. Wow, it hit up into the 20s. Nice. Okay, so let's go back to RCL though for our boy Chris. Hide these because I've been a long time since I probably looked at RCL. Let's see, it looks like I did a trade plan on it April of this year, so maybe not as long ago as I thought, but certainly have not taken the time to develop all my support and resistance levels up in this area that it's heading to. Let's kind of get a sense of where our range that we should focus on needs to be. I kind of like building up off this weekly level, play between these two weekly levels essentially. So what I'm going to do, just short term, let's do this so I don't, because I'll tend to go down a rabbit hole and start mapping out every single support and resistance level in the world. That's not necessary for developing a good trade plan, I don't think. All right. This, do I use Neptune with every plane? So here's how I kind of, that's a great question. Here's how I kind of use just indicators in general, right? Is I want to sort of look at the, well, definitely more for trading, but because that kind of helps me decide like where is the right place to execute, right? I really want to focus my trade plans on price action and my support and resistance levels and studying the chart. That being said, once I start to develop my levels, and I'll try to talk you through it as we do this one on Royal Caribbean, then I start to pop on the indicators and say, okay, like are there confluences, places where, you know, without these, I was looking at a different price target. Does that then change my mind? So I will sometimes factor in where Neptune, where moving averages are, pretty much any indicators where those are. I'll factor them in, but I kind of want to have a pretty good sense of how I want to play or set up the plan, I should say, just based on support and resistance and studying the chart. That's kind of where I want to start, and then I sort of throw that in as, you know, an added measure of finding confluence and being able to utilize that information to maybe adjust and come up with a slightly even better trade plan. So I hope that answers your question. Yep, and I'm working on something new for it. I'm not totally happy with it yet, but I'm trying to essentially create something that will give some kind of like a sell signal, or like here's maybe a good place to exit. So because it kind of it's really set up more for finding good entries, and then exits. You know, I personally base those on support and resistance in my trade plans. So that's kind of, you know, I built the indicator for myself, and then eventually, you know, decided to offer it up to others. And I feel like anybody who's reached out with any kind of feedback on it has been very positive, and says it's helped them a lot. So I'm glad I kind of opened it up, because it was something I was nervous about, I guess. All right, so okay, that's probably everything we're gonna see on the weekly chart within our range. Okay, so let's start breaking this down. And yes, thank you, Chris, for that questions. For that question, that was a good one actually, because I think that's, you know, it's something I teach a lot when I'm mentoring, is, you know, the process of drawing these support and resistance levels, what I'm looking for, and why I do the things I do when I'm drawing my levels, and then how do we leverage that? How do you pick the right levels to develop a trade plan for? That's kind of where it all comes together into something that's useful and ultimately profitable in the bigger picture. So it's just a weird area that it's in up here. I feel like we should be finding, maybe I'm just having a hard time spotting some of these levels. Yeah, that's interesting, actually. Yeah, this daily chart's just not, levels just aren't jumping out at me for some reason. Let's go back to current. Let's switch to the 4 hour chart here in a second. That's kind of my favorite. Check this. Feeling could be, yeah. This is one that I'm gonna weirdly enough use regular trading hours for. I think that's what was throwing me off is price data just wasn't very, the candles weren't very well formed or developed there on the extended hours chart. And I think that that was just making some levels that I was feeling good about look weird. I like weirdness. Things to look clean. Clean as a whistle. Sure. Yeah, Navy Plum. We'll switch it up to. I keep hearing about this Ion Q ticker, and it's one that my whole dictionary of tickers that I have in my brain, it doesn't ring a bell to me, and I don't know why. What do they do? Quantum computing hardware and software company in Maryland developing general purpose trapped ion quantum computer. Oh my god, that's next level. So how long until Elon buys it? Is my question. That sounds like something he would be doing. But yeah, we'll check them out. It sounds like some next level, like the future of AI type stuff. So that sounds intriguing to me. I think we're pretty good here. Let's check these hourly levels real quick, and then we'll have a trade plan ready to go. Sorry, this one was just kind of, it's a little vexed by finding those levels for a second there until I realized that extended hours, which I typically use, was kind of throwing me off a little bit, which can happen. It's a ticker that just doesn't, whoops, gosh dang it, doesn't trade kind of fully developed candles during the extended hours trading sessions. AMD Terminator. We can do, well, we got a, yeah, Terminator. I'll knock this one out for you right here. In fact, I'll share it with you again. This is in the options watch list, member selected tickers. Talked about it just a minute ago. It's right back in our range after hitting PT1 yesterday to the downside. To me, definitely looks good for upside if it can get over that 103.22. It's finally clearing out over these moving averages that have been over top of it. So since that's a quick and easy one, I'll stop and give you that one. But yeah, make sure that you're voting for those member selected tickers when I do them on the weekends. So make sure that you are following those trade plans. I want to figure something out with the guys who help us with our bots and all that sort of stuff, and probably also need to get some blessings. But I have a thought about essentially setting alerts on my trade plans on my charts, and then creating, like, using a webhook or something like that to push them to a channel in the Discord. Um, that way, if I'm for whatever reason not available, or looking elsewhere, and a trade plan kind of goes into effect, or at least you should be looking at the chart and be waiting for confirmation on entry. I'd like to put something like that together because sometimes I'm just not able to kind of put out notification or post alerts or whatever the case might be. Also, I might already be in a few trades and not interested in trading a particular plan at that point if I've already got my plate full. So anyway, it doesn't mean that there's not good opportunities there. It would be nice to have let be able to let folks know what's a potential setup and in that webhook or in the alert. The way I would set it up with TradingView would circle back to it would post a copy of the trade plan chart and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, something I've got in the back of my mind that I've got to figure out with the team at Xtrades to figure out if that's something we can and want to implement. All right, let's see where we're at. I think we're pretty good at this point. I've got a general sense of where I want these levels to be. This is an interesting one, though. I don't think I'd want to totally ignore that. Yeah. Okay. So, like I was telling Chris earlier, now let's take a look at sort of indicators where all that's sitting at. So, I mean, looking here on the hourly chart, I've kind of, again, got my levels mapped out. I generally had an idea of where I wanted to look at for entries. Like, for calls, I was definitely thinking of a break of this weekly resistance up here. We keep falling short of that, making looks like lower highs so far. I mean, kind of near-term higher highs, but bigger picture, lower highs there. And things do look a little bit bearish, sell pressure mode on RCL currently. So that's why I would want to wait for sort of a key level to break before I'd want to jump in on it. But let's take a look at this on a couple other time frames. Yeah, I mean, 333 SMA seems to be clean resistance right there. Pushing down on things again, cleared over that weekly level, puts us above all of that pressure. They're on the 30-minute, 15-minute, yeah, kind of the same story. And it looks like we get, based on how this last move played out, a little bit of fake out here. That's interesting to me. We might want to pay attention, wait a little bit longer for confirmation. Yeah, in fact, looking at that rejection right there and there, I think I'd want to wait for ultimately that level to clear out. Over that level, say at least gives us a target up to 102.19. Question is, do we have a good stop loss that doesn't put us like in way too tight of a position? Interested in looking at possibly this weekly level right here. It's a pretty tight trade plan, so maybe a little too tight. I'm seeing lots of resistance right on this line, and a couple of decent support bounces on it. So I'd want to give this trade a little bit more room to work out. And that's still a gap that needs to be filled up there at 102.19. So that could definitely, filling that gap could turn into a rejection potentially. So I think this is going to be very close to like a 1-to-1 risk reward getting to PT1. So I would say if you're going long on this one, definitely at least start small. I personally want to see a higher risk reward ratio than that. Well, that's better than I thought. 1.2 to 1. That's not terrible. It's better than I thought it was. It looked pretty tight. And actually, this is, let's see, right. So, yeah, just barely over 1-to-1. So, not the worst, but certainly not the best risk reward setup there, but that's okay. So interested by, that flip of resistance or support back here to resistance here. I wouldn't ignore that either as far as next price target would go. This is the hourly chart. Over that, I'll be looking somewhere in this. You could try for as high as 104.11, but I think that's just the smarter exit. Again, I'd rather be out slightly early and leave a little bit of money on the table than try to catch a fill as the price rejects and moves back to the downside. So, anyway, it clears out a lot of indicators resistance wise over that 101.22 level. As you can see, we've got some strong resistance here at this 137 level. So if we get back above 101.22, this should act as support. If it doesn't, I wouldn't be interested in holding for upside at that point. So maybe a little bit of a wait before at least a good upside opportunity develops. I mean, there's some opportunities to play stuff sooner than that, but they don't look great to me. So I would definitely wait a little bit on upside on this. Let's see. So for the downside plan, kind of immediately has me looking probably right here as an entry. The only thing I don't love about that entry is it's very close to weekly support. That weekly support hasn't seen a lot of love or respect lately, though. So, and to me, it looks like we've got an opportunity below this level to catch a move at least down to 93.16, if not really kind of down to 92.26. So I'm looking at this is our entry right here about 94.46. Do see a nice rally off of this other hourly level down here at 93.16. I did have a little, yeah, it's kind of a double bottom with a resistance touch back there. While I want to shoot for 92.26, I think that is smarter exit. Definitely would also be taking some profit here at that 92.26. Although they both, either of those could have been PT1, but honestly, I think it's more of a PT1-2 scenario. But below that, I think we open up down to this 90.16 level. To be perfectly honest, based on what this chart looks like. And stop loss, big question mark there. Looking at all this support, price getting bought up above it. It could be it, but that might put us in a, again, bad spot risk reward wise. That really kind of seems like, yeah, maybe it's more this 95.40 level. Let's see if we've got a couple. I'm looking at one of these two levels. Let's take a look at this real quick, see if we, again, can use our indicators to help spot that. Yeah, I mean, we're catching the bottom of Neptune right there on that line. That's a pretty decent confluence, and it's starting to break down. Let's check this out. If this gives us at least a 1-to-1 risk reward, I think I'll probably give it the longer stop loss. Let's see. Yeah. So this one to the downside, I think you just have to play it kind of tight. 94.46. You're giving it about $1 room. That's not, it's not like restrictively tight. Also puts the risk reward at 1.2, which definitely is, I think, where we need to be. So these are what the trade plans look like. Let's see if I can get a better view of this. And let's get rid of that so it's not confusing. Make sure these line up so you guys can see what's what. In fact, here's what I'll do. Make these hourly levels, because I know they're a little bit dark and hard to see. I'm going to make all those a different color just for sake of being able to see these lines a little easier. All right. So here is your RCL trade plan. Kind of a big no man's land on this one, but it's just what it looks like to me. Again, I could potentially see an entry over this 97.88 level playing out to 99.50 and then 137. You know, so put that in the for what it's worth category, the benefit of actually being here and being able to listen to the trade plans as I talk through them. You know, you'll kind of know to look for an entry that I maybe, if somebody just circles back and looks at this chart, they wouldn't know about. But you know, definitely over 97.88. I could see an opportunity up to 99.50 and then 137. I think better confirmation of things flipping back to the bullish side and starting to hit some of these upside price targets, though, doesn't come until over 101.22. So again, maybe giving it a little too much room to the upside, but again, I just see lots of selling pressure all throughout this area, and so that kind of gives me a little bit of pause to try to get in any sooner, because lots of stuff could cause like a moving resistance rejection that I don't want anybody to get caught in, essentially. So what we're looking for is a break over 101.22 with targets at 102.19, 102.88, and 103.76 with a stop loss average down at 137. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 94.46 with targets at 93.16, 92.26, and then 90.16 with a stop loss average down at 95.40. All right. JTW plus AI sounds powerful. Sounds good to me, man. I'm gonna try. Like, I'm gonna sign up for. I'm gonna on the short list for Neuralink. So, kidding. I'm not letting anybody put a chip in my brain. It sounds a little intense. Not until somebody else has done it first. All right, Eye on Q. This is the other one that we had requested this morning. I also see a couple people asked about NVIDIA and Tesla. We just talked about those trade plans a little bit ago, but I will talk about them one more time. It's true. What's up, Byron? How are you, buddy? Good morning to you. All right, so what am I doing? Playbook, Eye on Q. I'm doing well, brother. Thanks for asking. It has been a busy it's been a busy September for me. It's just been nuts. Most of it's been good, but it's been very busy. It's certainly kept me from being as active with our Discord as I generally like to be. That's for sure. All right, so clearly I have no levels here on. I'm going to call it Ion. I'm just going to call it Ionic. I feel like that's, I know that's probably not right, but it just feels easier to me. All right, let's see. This guy has not only been around for a couple of years, so not a ton of data. That's okay. Not the end of the world. This looks like an interesting level. Going to be a little challenging to find weekly levels on this because, again, there's just not a ton of price action to work with. This is an interesting level. We haven't paid much attention to it lately. I think it's actually a little bit lower. It's probably, yeah, maybe even just a little bit lower than that. Sorry. Getting a little nitpicky here, but that's important. Yeah, that's another interesting level. And is there anything going on with that bounce there? Right at it. Lots of support touches. No resistance here, though. So this is one that we'll kind of keep on watch. This is only a couple of touches on this, but they are both pretty significant touches in my opinion. This is another one that I'll keep on watch. Okay, I think we're gonna have to go to this daily chart. Let's check something out real quick. Yeah, this actually moves during extended hours, so have some interest in this level. Is it more like? That's the question. I think the answer is yes. Sorry, got a little focused on this levels there for a second. Probably should be talking through some of this stuff. Just kind of trying to look for, again, clear confirmation, both sides, support and resistance, clean reactions, that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, this one, like I said, is pretty good movement on the extended hours chart, so that's kind of how I prefer to draw support and resistance, is with that on. But as we saw with Royal Caribbean there, sometimes data is actually a little bit deceiving, especially on higher time frames. Looking at extended hours, if it's not sort of clean, well-developed candles, price action. There's definitely something sitting right in here too. All right, I think we're. This is an interesting level, but not dead set on it yet. Let's take a go back this way a little bit. Where are we at? 912. Okay, I need to speed it up. Yeah, like that level. That's good. This guy down here. I think it is a little bit lower. I think we're looking at a flip. Resistance back there to support here. All right, let's take a look at this 4-hour chart. See how fast I can go now, because we're running out of time. This is iffy. Here. So there. Again, these may not be the cleanest levels I've ever drawn, but be good enough to trade from. Or at least have a general sense of where we want to be in and out of this trade. All right. This is an interesting little range in here. I think there is something sitting right there. Definitely something right here. Kind of sitting right on it here, pre-market. Yep. It really looked like it was going to be a level, but I'm not convinced. All right. This is a kind of range that I don't know about. All right, let's take a look at this 1-hour chart real quick. Oh, I just realized I was on a 2-hour chart, but whatever. We'll be fine. Yeah, something right here. Okay. Also take a look at, oh, pretty clear. Looks like. Let's see. It's a little bit more off this guy. Or yeah. Wait a sec. Yeah, that's interesting to me. So let's take a look at this. 916. Okay. Lots of pressure all throughout there on the hourly chart. Kind of potentially opens up some room over 1720. That would also clear out probably the 200 SMA here in the 15-minute chart. Kind of liking that more and more. I think that should, yeah, overall I'm looking at this as the first price target over that up there at 1811. Stop loss right here. We're kind of currently rejecting. Could also look for potentially earlier entry here on this over 1688. I mean, really, if we break this downtrend, I think it's could move up, and indicators might not matter that much if demand's kind of pent up underneath it. Let's see. So that's first price target for sure. All right, let's get back here. Second price target looks like we'd be up here. 1875. Over that, I have this level a little high there at 1938. So more like right here. Could be. Yeah, I think we're looking at like 1929. So those would be your upside price targets to the downside. I want to see a break of 1602 for move down to 1542. That does look pretty good, actually. I think we can share our stop loss level here at 1654. Whoops, did that the wrong way. Definitely next price target down here at 1496, and then below that, I think we open up down to 1420. So this is what our trade plans are like. Right, sorry, got a little quiet there. I just was trying to focus and get those levels done quick because we are down to 10 minutes from market open. Still have a SPY plan I need to put together. I will very quickly touch on, I think it was Nvidia and Tesla were the other ones I saw asked about in the chat. Just because we already have trade plans on those, although Tesla we might have to talk through real quick. So yeah, I'll do it as quickly as I can. Trade plan. So what we're looking for here on this one is a break over 1720 to give us targets at 1811, 1875, and 1929, with a stop loss average down at 1654. To the downside, we're looking for a break at 1602 with targets at 1542, 1496, and 1420. Okay, so Nvidia, I think was asked about. This is the trade plan that I posted in the watch list on Sunday evening. We got down to PT2 yesterday morning. Again, this would have been a very tricky one to catch the trade on it. Really, the opportunity was on this back test of the put entry, quick scalp down to PT1. But again, you would have had to have been sniper level to catch that quick 15-minute scalp, although it would have been a nice one for about $7 to the downside in 15 minutes. So certainly would have been a great trade if you caught it, but very tough to thread that needle. So ultimately, Nvidia back in the range. We're still waiting for a break over 445.25 to start playing these upside targets. would also I would also recommend taking profits early into the trade plan as we get ready to start testing this downtrend line that is now going to potentially create a confluence or some additional resistance. If it tries to push the upside, if it breaks back down below 432.01, potential to play it to the downside again. So this is back in the range, as well as AMD, both of these plans in the options watch list from Sunday. And then I think Tesla was asked about also by Healthy, I think that is, or something like that. So Tesla is playing out our downside plan. I posted this one on Sunday as well. We broke below 270.28, pushing down. Looks like it might get PT3 today if we lose this low a day from yesterday, which would put us down at 262.57, but ultimately entry at 270.28. Targets hit so far take us down to 264.88. Next target 262.57. Take a look at my overall chart here on Tesla real quick. Below 262.57, which we will be coming up on the hourly, the 100 SMA here, or that's the 200. Sorry, get my line straight. Could add some confluence down there at PT3 and cause a little bit of a bounce. Below that, though, I mean, really below 262.57, if that 200 SMA doesn't hold here on the hourly, it could push way down. Could potentially get down here to 254.63 and try to test the top of this gap that it opened up. So be mindful of that if you're playing Tesla. So don't have the time to come up with a brand new plan for it. I got to go get the SPY plan together. So with that, I want to thank you guys for joining me this morning. I will be back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. I'm going to go knock out the fastest SPY plan I've ever done. Also want to just hit you guys with our, there we go.
Plan your trades and trade your plans.
That's right, folks. Plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there, make some money today. I will see you guys in the chat. Excuse me. And I will be back here Thursday morning at 8:30. Y'all have a great day. I will see you soon.